The objective of this lesson is to add fractions with related denominators by creating an equivalent fraction with a common denominator. In previous lessons, students found that in order to add fractions, the addends must first have a common denominator. The numerator counts, and the denominator describes what is counted. Let's begin with our first problem. Lincoln spent the day collecting rocks. Before breakfast, he collected enough rocks to fill a bucket 1/4 of the way. That night, he emptied his bucket, and he and his friends collected enough rocks to fill the bucket 5/8 of the way full. How much of the bucket could Lincoln fill with all of the rocks he collected that day? The equation to represent this problem is 1/4 plus 5/8 equals the amount of bucket that was filled with rocks. Let's model the equation. The first addend of 1/4 will be drawn by dividing the first square into fourths and shading in one piece. The second addend of 5/8 will be drawn by dividing the second square into eighths and shading in 5 parts. Look at the denominators of the equation, fourths and eighths. How are the denominators related to each other? 4 is half of 8, or 8 is 2 times 4. Since 8 is twice as many as 4, we can multiply the denominator of 1/4 by 2. When this happens, the number of pieces being considered also increases by twice as many as shown in the model. Therefore, the numerator of 1 in 1/4 becomes 2, and the denominator becomes 8. 1/4 is the same as, or equivalent to, 2/8. This method of multiplying both the denominator and the numerator by the same number is another strategy that can be used to obtain a common denominator. The equation 1/4 plus 5/8 equals A is equivalent to 2/8 plus 5/8 equals A. There are a total of 7/8. 7/8 of the bucket was filled. Let's try another problem using the common denominator strategy. Lizzie is building a birdhouse. She built 1/3 of it on Friday night, and 5 nights more on Saturday morning. How much of the birdhouse has she built? The equation for this problem is 1/3 built on Friday plus 5 nights built on Saturday equals the amount she built. The denominators 3 and 9 are related to each other because 9 is 3 times as much as 3. Both digits in the fraction 1/3 need to be multiplied by 3 to get the common denominator of 9. 1 times 3 equals 3, and 3 times 3 equals 9. 3/9 is equivalent to 1/3. The equivalent equation now reads 3/9 plus 5/9 equals A. A equals 8/9 of the birdhouse has been built. The objective for this lesson was to add fractions with related denominators by creating an equivalent fraction with a common denominator. We met this objective by using fraction models as well as using the common denominator strategy of multiplying both the denominator and the numerator by the same number to obtain a common denominator in order to add fractions.